IAS Academy.
Hello all, welcome to IAS Academy and welcome back to the program Editorial Daily, where we deal with editorial analysis which enriches your perspective and enhances your answer writing preparation. So let's get started with our today. So yes, the first article for today is India needs a second home for the Asiatic lions. Okay, so basically as we know, the Asiatic lions are preserved and conserved in Gir forest of Gujarat of India. Okay, so basically, while India has successfully saved this Asiatic lions which from extinction, the challenge now is to ensure its long-term survival by creating a another geographical separate population. Okay, so basically these Asiatic lions was once found in the Central Asia and the what you called Western Central Asia, okay, West and the Central Asia. So today their only wide population was present in Gir forest of Gujarat, okay. Yes, due to this decades of conservation efforts which have been kept by the government, their population has increased to 891 lions in the forest, okay. And this is a remarkable conservation, as we have to say, but it has also created a new concern. Like, see, all the lions are concentrated in the one region itself. They are not distinct, like they are not spread over the other forests. These all lions are concentrated in one region. So this is what the problem arises. If when we see why we need the second habitat necessary means, due to the risk of extinction from a single disaster, like it might be floods, it might be what you called any disease outbreak, or it could be any earthquake, a drought, or a flood, or anything. It can be whatever the disaster is, it can wipe out the complete population, okay, because they are habited to one region itself. They are not extended to another any regions. They are specified for only Gir forest in Gujarat. So these Asiatic lions, due to any disaster, can wipe out complete the population, not leaving anyone behind. Okay. So basically, when we see in 2018, this what you called, we have seen this canine distemper virus, which we have seen in 2018, which is a major outbreak which demonstrated how vulnerable the species is. Okay, so this is one of the major reason. So next is when we can tell about the limited genetic diversity. Okay, so living in one isolated population which reduces the genetic variation. Okay, so low genetic diversity, it weakens the disease resistance and the adaptability. It couldn't adapt to any other conditions where it is habited to one environment. Okay. Yes. Coming to the topic goes like India needs a second home for these Asiatic lions. Okay. And how can we link this topic article to our syllabuses? For GS paper 3, we can link this to conservation, environmental pollution, and degradation and biodiversity. And GS paper 2, we can link this article to the fundamental and responsibilities, functions and responsibilities of the union and states, issues and challenges which are pertaining the federal system, environmental governance. We can link this article to. Okay. Yes. Coming to the context of the topic, what is the context is basically India has increased the Asiatic lion population to around 891, which is making the lion conservation a major success story. Okay, so yet this entire global population remains concentrated in the Gir landscape, creating a dangerous ecological vulnerability. Okay, so the continued failure to establish a geographically separate second home leaves the species exposed to a single catastrophic event. Okay, yes. Coming to the introduction of the topic, how could we come up is basically, see, this India's recovery of the Asiatic lions from near extinction to about 891 animals is globally celebrated, obviously. So, however, this conservation success in number alone does not ensure the survival. When an entire species remain confined to one landscape, epidemics, files, or natural disasters can threaten all the individuals at once. So, a second home is therefore an ecological necessity, not a symbiotic choice. Okay, it is not a symbiotic choice, but it is basically a ecological necessity for the lions to have a second habitat. Okay, yes. So basically, when we see the ecological imperative for a second home, what is the ecological imperative? We'll see the first one is single population risk. Okay, see, Wildlife Institute of India has have consistently warned that keeping the entire species in one landscape is inherently risky. Okay, so these scientific studies since the 1980s have cautioned that epidemics and the forest fires or the natural disasters could devastate a geographically concentrated population. Okay, so in 2018, when we come up with, when we have seen this canine distemper virus, which is an outbreak, highlighted how rapidly the disease can spread in the dense forest. Okay, so socially, structurally populations with limited genetic diversity. Okay, this is what the why it is necessary to have a second habitat. Okay, the next is the meta population approach. See, when we see the meta population approach, basically, see, if we have a habitat one, first habitat which we consider it as Gir Gujarat, and second habitat if we create, if anything like any disaster as we discussed previously, the single population risk, the same if would happen, like any disaster would happen, it wipes out the complete population. Rather, by creating a second home, we can at least save few species. We cannot have a extinction of this Asiatic lions. We can conserve few species from these disasters and all. Okay, so this will reduce the extinction risk, right? So see, the modern conservation science which says that supports a uh, meta population, which meta population approach, which is distributing the species across the multiple habitats to reduce the extinction risk. Okay, so a geographically separate second home which improves the resilience by preventing a single shock from the threatening the entire species. Okay, yes, and we can also say that this debate is therefore not just about increasing the number of lions basically, but whatever the number is now, we have to ensure the long time survival and the security of this lions. Okay, yes, when we move forward and see the judicial directives and the regional politics which have been happening, we can see the Supreme Court mandate which have been released. What is the Supreme Court mandate which have been released is a landmark Supreme Court judgment which is dated in approximately 15th April of 2013. It directed the translocation of Asiatic lions from the Gujarat's Gir forest to Kuno National Park in the Madhya Pradesh. Kuno National Park of Madhya Pradesh. So the court held that the wildlife conservation must be governed by the ecological principles rather than the regional or the political considerations. This is what the Supreme Court has come up with. Okay. Yes, and it also emphasized that Asiatic lions are part of India's national heritage and not the exclusive property of a single state. It is not a exclusive property of single state. It is a property of a national. It is a part of India's national heritage, and these lions from this Gir forest of Gujarat have to be exported to, shifted to the Kuno National Park of Madhya Pradesh. This is what the Supreme Court mandate has been given. Okay, so see, what is the second thing? What is this? Is the policy impasse and the state resistance. What is this? See, despite the schooner being the specifically prepared for lions, Gujarat has resisted relocation for more than a decade. Okay, so the state has cited its own conservation success and concerns regarding the habitat stability. Okay, so this has created a policy impasse between the scientific recommendations, the judicial directives, and the state level political considerations. This is what it is happening. Okay, yes, this is the judicial directive versus the regional politics, because which these lions are not been shifting to the Kuno National Park of Madhya Pradesh. Okay, yes, when you see the inadequacy of this local alternatives which we can see, the first is the Project Lion and Barda option. Okay, see, Project Lion, when it is started, the Project Lion started in 2020. Okay, so recent initiatives such as the Project Lion, which has been initiated in 2020, have proposed the alternative sites within Gujarat, like including the Barda Wildlife Sanctuary. Even in Gujarat, a Barda National Sanctuary is also been also chosen for this Asiatic lions preservation. Okay, next. These efforts reflect an attempt to expand this lion conservation without the interstate translocation. Not interstate translocation, it is stopping. Okay. Next is why this distance matters basically. Too close, too risky, is it? So, see, basically, Gir Gujarat, approximately less than 100 kilometers, we have a nearby alternative, which is the Bardha Wildlife Sanctuary. Okay. But we can say the same risk, right? If it is approximately 200 less than 100 kilometers, what would be the much importance? Like if a disaster happens in this place, obviously the disaster would happen in the same place, in the same 100 meters, 100 kilometers of distance. Will this disaster stop there? No, right? It would be the same thing. So experts argue that the site location too close to Gir do not solve the core problem of this risk diversification, right? So a second population must geographically distinct so that a single epidemic, wildfire, or any disaster cannot affect both the population simultaneously. Okay. And this conservation requires not just an another site, but a truly separate ecological insurance population. Okay. Yes, this is what it has been saying. See, we can see, right? See, when we see this, what Gir Gujarat and the distinct second population, if we see this Kuno National Park, which is in Madhya Pradesh, if the lions are preserved, if there is any disaster in this Gir Gujarat, we can save that population which is in Kuno, Madhya Pradesh. But it is not that if you take this Barda Wildlife Sanctuary, which is in Gujarat itself, approximately less than 100 kilometers to Gir Gujarat forest. So what would be the major difference if the lions have been preserved there and lions are in Gir Gujarat? It is better to keep them all in one place because disaster wouldn't, stop in both the places, right? So basically, the scientists or the Supreme Court also agreed that the conservation requires not just another site to lions, but a truly separate ecological insurance population should be there. Okay. Yes. Next, coming up to the conclusion of the topic, how can we come up is, see, India must shift to mere conservation success to true conservation security. Okay, so this Asiatic lion story shows that rising number alone do not guarantee the survival. This what called resilience matters, but without a geographical distinct, this free ranging second population, decades of conservation gains the remain ecological fragile and vulnerable to reversal. Okay, this is how you can write the conclusion. And coming to the main keywords which we can take from this article is, first is meta population approach. What is this meta population approach? Basically distributing a species across multiple habitats to reduce the risk of localized extinction. Okay, next is conservation security versus the conservation success. What is it? It is moving beyond the population growth to ensure the long term resilience against the catastrophic events. Okay, next is policy impasse. What is this policy impasse? Is it is a deadlock which is caused by the conflicting the scientific recommendations, the judicial mandates, and the regional political interests. Okay, this is what you call policy impasse. Next is the canine distemper virus. The canine distemper virus, which we have seen in 2013. Okay, this is a highly contagious disease that poses a severe threat to geographically concentrated wildlife populations. Okay, yes, this is about this article completely which we have seen. And let's see the next article. Yes, the next article for today is the right to belong beyond official documentation. Okay, so basically, this article is a fundamental democratic question, like what makes someone a citizen of India? What makes someone a citizen of India? Is citizenship determined only by the official document, or does it rest on the deeper constitutional principles of the equality, dignity, and belonging? This is what this article is completely talking about. Basically, this article criticizes the recent debate on the citizenship. It uh, just a second. Yes, it This article recently debates on the citizenship verification, which the voter roll revisions and the growing tendency to treat the citizenship as something that citizens must constantly prove through work. Okay, so on June 24, 2026, on June 24, 2026, what happened? The Ministry of External Affairs and Ministry of External Affairs has officially stated that India passport is a travel document, but it is not a citizenship document. This is what the External Affairs Ministry of External Affairs has issued. Okay, so this statement has generated a controversy because the passports are generally considered a strong proof of citizenship, right? Basically, Aadhaar and this passport are regarded as the strong proofs of this citizenship. So the debate emerged, which is aimed at the Election Commission Special Intensive Revision, which is the SIR, which is SIR, which has been being done for the electoral rolls, the Supreme Court judgments, which is regarding the citizenship scrutiny, scrutiny, and ongoing the discussions around the Citizenship Amendment Act and the citizenship verification. Okay, so basically, coming to the citizenship in Indian constitution, we can talk about, like, see, the constitutional provisions. As we know, we have this articles 5 to 11 of the constitution, which deals with the citizenship, right? So article 11 basically emphasizes, article 11, which basically emphasizes on the empowers the parliament to make laws which is regarding the acquisition and determination of the citizenship, right? So however, this power is not at all limited, not unlimited, and must conform to the constitutional values. Okay, yes, this is completely about the citizenship, what it is aimed, and how come this principles of this equality, dignity, and belonging would come up, constitutional principles would come up. So let's see this article in a complete detailed manner and see which our topic will be linking to this article. Okay, let's see. The topic is the right to belong beyond the official documentation. Okay, see, and how can we link this article to our topic GS papers? Is for GS paper 2, we can link this article to the Indian constitution, historical underpinnings, evaluation, this features, amendments, significant provisions, and the basic structure, which is citizenship part 2, and the fundamental rights. We can link this topic to article 2. Next, in GS paper 2, in the same way, we can link this article to the salient features of the Representation of People's Act, statutory, regulatory, and various quasi-judicial bodies, and Election Commission of India. And in same GS paper 2, we can link this topic article to the structure, organization, and functioning of the judiciary, which is significant Supreme Court judgments. Also, we can link this article to. Okay, now moving on to the context of the topic, how can we come up with the context? Is basically in recent MEA statement, statement, which described the India's passport as a primarily a travel document, not a definitive proof of the citizenship. So this comes in the backdrop of the Election Commission Special Intensive Revision, the SIR, of electoral rolls and the border shift, where individuals increasingly bear the burden of proving their citizenship, often through complex and uneven documentation demands. Okay, yes, coming to the introduction of the topic, we can say is, see, at the heart of the debate lies a fundamental question: what does it mean to a citizen in India? Okay, so the question goes like, what does it mean to be a citizen in India? So the issue framed by the Election Commission of India's, the SIR, the Supreme Court ruling on the Section 6 capital A of the Assam Accord and the 2019 Citizenship Amendment Act. So this editorial argues for a constitutional understanding of citizenship, which is rooted in the personalhood and the equal dignity, not reduce it to the bureaucratic paperwork and shifting the evidentiary demands. Okay, yes. Coming to the foundations and the evolution of the citizenship, which we talk, the first is the secular foundation in the Constituent Assembly. Like, see, the framers such as the Jawaharlal Nehru and Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, who rejected the religion-based citizenship proposals. Okay, so the constitutional vision, which affirmed a secular state free from the racial and the religious distinctions. So basically, the citizenship was linked to the equal belonging rather than the sectarian identity. Okay, sectarian identity. Okay, next, coming to the article 11, the second point which we can talk about this the foundations and the evolution of citizenship is basically the article 11, which is a just soul and the representative term. Okay, article 11, what it is talks about, article 11 basically says that the parliament shall have power to make all the laws with respect to the citizenship, right? So the this is what the article 11 is talking about. Next is initial approach, which is a just so like that citizenship based on birth and the residence, which includes the birthright citizenship. Okay, next, in 1985, the section 6 capital A, which is the SM Accord, which has altered the citizenship and treatment based on the dates of entry. Okay, next, in 2002, 2003, it stated the citizenship denied to persons who are born in India if one parent was classified as a illegal migrant. Okay. See, the third one which we can see is in 2002, in 2003, the citizenship denied to the persons who are born in India if one of their parents was classified to be an illegal migrant. Okay. Next, the last thing which we can see is the Article 11, which gives the Parliament plenary power to legislate on this citizenship, but the scholars argue it is bounded by the secularism, equality, and the non-discrimination. Okay, yes. Moving forward, how can we come up with the way forward for this article is it is the reclaiming a rights-centric citizenship framework. Okay, now when you see the first one is reinforce the constitutional limits on the Article 11. Like, see, subject to which is subject to the Constitution's commitments to the secularism, equality, and non-discrimination. So, Parliament's power on the citizenship must align with the constitutional basic structure. Okay, and this judicial interpretation should consistently uphold the secularism, equality, and the non-discrimination. Okay, next is to reduce the burden of proof on citizens. Like, it has to shift the ons back to the state to prove the foreigners, not on the residents to prove the citizenship. Okay, and accept a broader range of documents that reflect the lived realities. Okay, next, to ensure fair and inclusive processes. Like, see, the administrative exercises like the SAR must prioritize inclusion over the exclusion, and strong safeguards, transparency, and these mechanisms are essential. Okay, next, the fourth one which we can tell is which is the strengthen judicial oversight. Okay, strengthen judicial oversight where the court must critically examine the laws and policies that risk creating legal vacuums. Okay, and to protect against the indefinite suspension of the rights through rigorous constitutional scrutiny. Okay, next, coming to the conclusion of the topic, how can we come up with the conclusion for this is basically, see, the citizenship is not a favor guaranteed by the state, but a constitutional bond which is rooted in the equal dignity of equal every person. So, in a constitutional democracy, we must move beyond the accident of paperwork and remain in a citizenship framework which is anchored in a personhood, justice, and the promise of equal belonging for all. Okay, so a nation is defined not by whom it excludes, but by how it embraces the dignity of every individual. This is what we have to come up with the conclusion. Next, coming to the high impact terminologies and few keywords from this article which we can take is, first is the plenary power. What is this plenary power is? absolute, seemingly, ultimately legislative authority which guaranteed to a body. Example, the Parliament's power under Article 11 for the amendments in the citizenship. Okay, next, just sol. What is just sol? Just sol is nothing but it is a principle of guaranteeing the citizenship based on birth within a territory, as opposed to just just sanguinis, right of blood. Okay, yes. The next thing is right to have rights. The right to have rights, like it is the concept by Hannah Arendt that citizen is the uh, fundamental status which is guaranteeing the access to all rights. Okay, next is the administrative satisfaction, which is the adjunctions. Okay, adjudication, like what we can say is it is a bureaucratic check. Like example, when we see this election commission of India verification versus the formal legal determination of the citizenship by a competent authority. Okay, next, the next is the constitutional personhood. What is this constitutional personhood? It is basically the inherent dignity and the basic rights which falls under the article 14 to 21, which guarantees to a person within the state regardless of the citizenship. Okay, next is indefinite suspension, which is the legal vacuum. It is nothing but it is a situation where individuals remain in limbo, neither the citizens nor the declared foreigners, leading to the prolonged denial of rights. Okay, yes, and the last one is accident of paperwork. What is this? This is reducing the fundamental belongings and rights to more documentation and bureaucratic hurdles. Okay, yes, these are the two articles which we have discussed for today. Okay. And yes, these are the two articles for today. The one is this about this Asiatic lions preservation, having a second home for them, and then the next article is of the citizenship, which we have to prove. Okay. Yes. Yes. I hope everyone liked this video. If you want a complete PDF of this editorial, so do visit our website and download it from there. The link is provided in the description below. And do like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more editorial analysis. And do like, share, do follow our Telegram channel and Instagram channel as well for your UPSC preparations. And see you all tomorrow with another editorial analysis. Thank you.